as we move through this wonderful month of May, the theme for our organization is, of course, spiritual guidance and personal responsibility. And today we're asked to look at that personal responsibility and be open to spiritual guidance as we think of that we are here to be in a world that is focused on conscious action. So conscious action, personal responsibility, and the openness to the guidance of spirit is what we're just focused on at this time, in this place, in this day, and for the coming week. And so we're asking ourselves that wonderful question, what is mine to do? And it's a good thing to ask ourselves constantly. All right, it's punctuated by a power that says, listen up and get it this time. Or there'll be more of that dissonance in your life. And so we could look at this for a whole year because the question will span all aspects of our life. And we could ask ourselves the question, in every aspect of my life and living, what is mine to do? That takes a long and deep introspection, but this week, we're only asking the question with regard to our spiritual unfoldment and our own particular creative process as far as our spiritual unfoldment is concerned. So we're focusing in on that one thing. How connected, how aware am I of my spiritual life and my identity as a spiritual being? How am I doing with my identity as a spiritual being? All right, already, enough now. Enough.
Your microphone's about to go out, so this one will work better.
The lady of the harbor. Thank you, Reverend Mary. They tell me my mic is about to go out. Well, when it goes out, I'll use this thing. Is it out already? They turned me off, that's why. I saw that switch. All right, here we go. There you are. I've got the good ship, a lollipop. Oh. Okay. So anyway, that's what we're going to have a deep and hard look at. How am I doing according to the creative process in my life showing up as me identifying with the truth essence of my being and remembering that I am a spiritual being and that is my true identity, and my spiritual beingness is my continuum. That's what continues after I'm finished with this suit of clothing on this plane. It is my spiritual beingness that continues. So that is my true and real and lasting identity. So I'm asked today, how am I doing with the process? Am I identifying with this true essence of my being as best as I can? And so what is mine to do in order to be connected with the inner core of my being? And the goal is to get there and to be there at least 51% of the time. And once we get to 51%, that accelerates itself until eventually it's 110% and more. And so we might think, oh gosh, oh golly gee, here we go again. Life is as if life is not hard enough, you know, just making ends meet and running around crazy in the marketplace trying to make it all happen and trying to make it all work. Now I'm supposed to look at myself and ask myself, how am I doing with regard to my spiritual unfoldment? Well, there's no need to turn ourselves upside down and inside out to do that. We don't have to do that. We don't have to go topsy-turvy on it just to do it. All we have to do is to remember, that's all. First and foremostly, remember, I am essentially a spiritual being. Now that comes with all kinds of benefits, like getting your platinum card with all the benefits when you realize that you are a spiritual being and you actually use your benefit card, the benefit card to that. So when I am aware that I'm a spiritual being, what I do then is the one thing that's mine to do. The one thing that's mine to do, the key thing that's mine to do to change it up and to have me living a much more free and easy, peaceful, calm and tranquil, happy, good life. And what is that one thing for me to do? It's to change my thinking. That's all. Change my thinking. Because when I change my thinking, my feeling changes. And when I change my feeling and my thinking, my behavior changes. And my behavior changes into something that is producing a life that I'm embracing, that I'm alive to, that I'm engaged in, that I'm having a good time in, that I'm feeling, yeah, this is it. I am making the difference. Because life is making the difference through me and in me and by means of me and as me. So it's all about that first step. The initial step is I change my thinking and I move out of my egoic way of entering into all kinds of discussion in my mind with the committee that assembles there that wants to always take over. So that's the first thing I do. I have to stop the committee in my mind, all the voices in my mind, so that I can go quiet and silent in order to listen to the one voice, the truth voice, the voice that's going to lead me back into the awakening state of knowing the truth that sets me free. So that's what I have to do. That's what's mine to do. And that's the focus for this week. That is mine to do. So if it is a given that I am a natural spiritual being, then it's not enough for me simply to contemplate the idea of that. Oh my gosh, how often have we contemplated the idea of it until we're blue in the face? Contemplating the idea that I am a spiritual being. But what's it all about, Alfie? And what does it mean? And how does it show up in my life? So the challenge is for you and for me to give the idea a voice, to give the idea a heart, to give the idea hands, to give the idea feet, and to put movement and action under the idea. In other words, to embody the idea, which means that that changes the momentum of the energy of my thought and my feeling so that my being is in alignment with my true essence and my behavior changes. So that's what it's yours to do and mine to do, to embody this idea. Because God knows we've read about it enough, we've heard about it enough, we've thought about it enough, we've meditated on it enough, and so on and so forth. But none of that matters if I'm not embodying it, if I haven't given it a voice, if I haven't given it a heart, if I haven't given it hands, and if I haven't given it feet. To embody it is to act upon it, to think from it, to feel from it, to be in it so I can behave accordingly. So I am going to make it a challenge for us all just to work on one area with regard to the embodiment of that, and that is how we speak. That's all. I'm asking us this week to watch how our true nature, how our spiritual nature shows up in how we speak and what we say and the energy with which we say it. Can we do that? Yes. Are we on for that? Yes. Well, there's 30 of us on for that. It's a start. It's a start. By the end we leave here, maybe we'll all be on board. It's kind of like a do-it-yourself kit, you know? If we don't embody the idea, it's like having a do-it-yourself kit, and there it is in the box, and it's great, and all the parts are there, and you know all you have to do is put it together to have your desk, your chair, your table, anything nowadays, a plane, a car, whatever, it's a do-it-yourself, you can get a kit. But there it is in the box, you know, and it's not going to be of any use at all in the box. In fact, it's going to be a hindrance. It's a box. It's an ugly box. It's collecting dirt. It's taking up space, and so on and so forth. So you and I have to take out the parts, the pieces, and assemble them, and hopefully we have the something that the picture on the box says we should have. If it it's anything like some of the IKEA, well, I shouldn't mention that. God bless IKEA. I have a desk and I still have a piece left over and I still don't know where it goes. But anyway, your idea and my idea is as useless as a kit in a box if we don't embody the idea. You and I can entertain all the beautiful ideas in the world. We can sit around and sing, we're here to remind each other of our radiant magnificence and all the rest of it, and that you're to do the same for me, and then go out the door and forget all about it. But while we're singing it, oh my gosh, the feeling is so gorgeous and brings tears to our eyes. And it feels so right, and yes, it is what we're here to do. But we've got to embody the song. We've got to embody the idea in the song. We've actually got to do what it says. Remind each other of our magnificence. And the place we begin, and the hardest place to begin, is within our own homes, under our own roofs. Because we usually take everything for granted under our own roofs. And they know they know they're loved. Yeah, he knows I love him. She knows I love him. I don't have to tell her all the time. They know all about it. They know I didn't mean it. And they know I'm just having a bad day or whatever. Well, baloney. You can know that for a little bit, and that's enough. But not all of the time. Not all of the time. It's not enough. And it's not the way a spiritual entity communicates or embodies the idea that they say they have agreed to. Now, we're either going to do this or we're not. So, if you and I set out and agree this week to be more embodied in the understanding and in the awareness that we are a spiritual being, having a spiritual experience on this plane. Now you're saying I'm a spiritual being having a human experience, because the human experience lets us off. I'm a spiritual being supposedly able to have a spiritual experience in form, in a body. So if you and I are going to watch and embody and present ourselves as that spiritual energy and that spiritual entity and that unified state of being, that the infinite, in all of the infinite's wisdom, which sometimes as a human being one would question, as a human being, created each one of us in form to be its image, to be its likeness, to be its breath of life on this plane. If that's the way we're created, it obviously means we're equal to being all of that and realizing all of that and moving into all of that. So I think one of the biggest ways to begin with is with speech, because, all over the place, in all of the scriptures, not just the Christian ones, there are warnings around, speech. It should have speech up saying, you are now entering the danger zone. Be careful. I mean, even David said it, for heaven's sake, he said, the words come at me like swords, like knives. That's why we're told, put a guard on your mouth. Put a guard on your mouth. We are told in your mouth is life or death, you see. And so it's a big area that we could focus on, but it's only one area. I'm focused on my speech, how I convey a message, information, and what the result of the conveyance is. Does what I'm saying make people feel good, bad, or indifferent? Does what I'm saying breathe life into life? Does it uplift life, expand life? Does it increase life? Is what I'm saying indicating what I say I believe? I believe I'm a spiritual being, having a spiritual experience in form. I believe that I'm an individualized expression of the wholeness of life itself. I believe I am the image and likeness of God. I believe until I'm blue in the face believing. But what does that mean in the way I show up? It means nothing at all, and less than nothing at all, if I'm not showing up in the embodiment of what I say I believe. And of course, we all fall short of that. And does it mean because I get it and now I'm committed and so on that I'm not going to fall short? Of course I'm going to fall short. We all are going to fall short because we do fall asleep here. We do fall, it's a sleepy planet where we get sleepy a lot and we doze off. But if we're gentle enough with each other, if we're loving enough with each other, we can gently nudge each other back into an awakened state instead of slapping the living daylights out of us till we wake up. Wake up, you've fallen asleep. It's not a nice way to wake up. It's a shocking way to wake up. And we don't want to be shocked into enlightenment, improvement of any kind. We want to be nurtured into it and gentled into it and moved into it in a way that is safe and we can trust and we can be relaxed enough and honest enough and open enough in order to benefit from that beautiful energy that is supporting us. That's what we want. I want to share with you here this little piece of reading that the Dalai Lama wrote in our well, he didn't write it in the magazine, but the magazine has chosen to share this with us. And he says, the Dalai Lama was once asked what surprised him most about humanity, and he responded, man, because he sacrifices his health to make money, then he sacrifices money to recuperate his health, and then he is so anxious about the future that he does not enjoy the present, the result being that he does not live in the present or the future. He lives as if he is never going to die, and then he dies never having lived. That's the June magazine for the next month. And, you know, it kind of slaps you in the face when you read something like that. And you're always thinking in terms of, well, other people do that, I don't. There's some of that will go around for all of us that we're doing. And so what a shame it would be to arrive at the point when we're leaving this plane feeling we never really lived. We never really got it. We never really came to ourselves like the prodigal son did. We never really jumped up and out of that spiritual amnesia and that sense of paralysis that keeps us stuck and stopped and blocked. And the option is open to us all to come higher. We can come higher. We certainly can. We wouldn't be invited to come higher if we weren't equal to being able to come higher. So in our everyday life and living is the playground for our spiritual growth and advancement. It's not when we come to the sanctuary. It's not when we take classes. It's not when we go to seminars. It's not when we go on retreats. These are beautiful experiences and they help us in the marketplace, but they're not the places of challenge. The places of challenge is everyday life and living out there in the world, as we say, which I like to call the marketplace, because as you know, there's a lot of activity goes on in a marketplace. There's a lot of bargaining. There's a lot of dickering that goes on. And you have to have your wits about you. And to keep sane and to keep honest is quite the challenge out there, because you'll be told, but everybody's doing it, it's okay, you see. That everybody is doing it, it's okay, gets us into a lot of trouble. And here's the thing about everybody, isn't it interesting? All of our lives we are told, become somebody, become somebody, become somebody. You need to be somebody. When the opposite is true, your spirit is telling you, become nobody, become nobody, become nobody. You are not the body, become nobody. And all the time the spirit is saying to us, become nobody, the world is saying to us, become somebody. Become somebody, be recognized for something. To be recognized for something, you must become somebody. And the spiritual truth is quite the opposite. Become nobody. Return back into becoming the one. Don't worry about becoming somebody. Be happy to be nobody. And then the chances are you will become aligned with the one. Because there's only one. There is no some. There's only one. There is no. There's only one. And you and I are invited back into that awareness of that one. That it's called the unified state. And the unified state can only be realized by you and me when we have aligned the mind, the body, the heart, and the soul. Mentality, emotionality, physicality, and spirituality. When we've aligned those and we've unified those, then we're in a unified state of being. And then we're more prone and open to realizing the one life that lives in everything and in everyone. And you and I can start feeling that and thinking from that and living from that and responding to everything as that, the one, the cranky, rotten, awful neighbor, the one, etc. The son of a gun who cuts you off in the freeway and nearly causes an accident, the one. You see, it's easy for us to take our temperature and to see how we're doing when stuff like that happens. And you know, you can sometimes understand it with regards to the crabby, cranky neighbor, but that the people you love, people you've committed to, when we upset them and hurt them and do all of that, then it's a whole different level of non-awareness, you see. And that's why I say home is the greatest place to start out with regard to practicing the embodiment of what it is to be a spiritual being. And again, I'll state, no matter how holy somebody becomes, which is whole, that does not mean you will not and I will not be challenged by the vicissitudes of life. The vicissitudes of life, they're always with us. They always will be on a three-dimensional, worldly, planet Earth, embodied as form way. So it's okay for us to be irritated, upset, annoyed, angry, disappointed, and all the rest of it, as long as we know how to snap out of that. And we will learn to snap out of that much more quickly and find then that the time between our experiences of these negative states will become longer and longer and longer. And so again, I will stress, okay, we may irritate each other, we may upset each other, we may annoy each other, we may even hurt each other, but we do not get to stop loving each other, you see, there's the thing. Love is not something I can use as coinage. I'll give it and then take it back and give it and take it back. Love is not a gift you give and take it back. Love is given and it's given forever and for always. So yes, one may irritate the living daylights out of you, but you do not get to stop loving. And that simply means you do not get to stop wishing them well, knowing the highest and the greatest unfolding good for them, wanting only good for them, wishing only good for them, knowing for them only advancement in life and living, because that's what love is all about. Goodwill and peace on earth. Goodwill and peace. And so we'll get over our irritations, and isn't it funny when we think that everything is coming to a crash and halt, and we've been so irritated with each other, it's over, it's done, it's finished, finito. And then that all gets mended and fixed and healed, and you go forward. And then we would have been glad if we had zipped the lips while that irritation was going on. If we had just taken more control of this, we wouldn't have had so much to fix, to mend, and to heal. If we had just stopped, even if a man... And I just want you to know... That would be okay, because nobody heard the awful stuff you were saying. They would just look at you and say, oh yeah, they're not having a good day. Nah, that's funny actually. So try it next time. See what happens. See what happens. And that's your clue. That's going to be your clue. It's going to be your click. If you have to go, stop it. Knock it off now. Back away. Back away. You've entered the danger zone. Back away. Whatever that is. I'm telling you, this looks funny, but it works. And if you don't believe me, test it out. If you don't believe me, test it out. So the next time somebody looks crooked at you and you get that heat rising, you'll only have to do this eventually, and that'll be the end of it. You won't even have to. You really won't. So, my dear ones, I'm coming back to our original challenge, and the original challenge is, what is mine to do when it comes to my spiritual unfoldment and me identifying with the truth of my being? And the challenge this week is to take that question and look at it with regard to how I speak what I have to say, how I communicate through speech, how I share through speech, and what is the outcome of that. And I'm knowing that you and I could not do this on our own. Spirit has to go before us and prepare the way for that. And Spirit will go before us and prepare the way for that. I absolutely know it. And you can say, this is a handful for me to do. This is a big thing for me to do. I can't do it on my own, but I'm knowing that with you and your guidance, your spiritual guidance, going before me, taking care of all that needs to be taken care of, I am happy and ready to do this. And I know that once I stay connected with you, my source, I will have a fantastic, great, good week, better than anyone I've ever had before. Are we on? Yes. And so it is.